Part 2. See these? Extendable Arctic plow. They call these things like the snow broom or something like that. And they work phenomenal for getting all of that snow off of your vehicle. They're nice, very nice. So, I bought 2 of them. My knife doesn't want to cut through this thing. I bought 2 of them, one for my truck and one for my wife's van. Woo! And they definitely do a really good job. So my buddy's got one. He's pretty rough on a lot of his equipment. He doesn't show mercy, and he's gotten like 4 or 5 years out of it. So I'm hoping it works out pretty well. So, okay, what I'm going to do, yeah, that's locked in there. Now, so you can turn it and extend it out. I think it tightens up like this or something. And, well, hold that thought. Okay, so that tightens up like that, and now you can reach, like I can reach on top of my truck, get that snow and pull it off, or I can push it off there, and I don't have to lean over my truck and try to get the windshield when I go out at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning to plow snow and get all wet with snow using a small snow brush. So I got these. I think that's pretty fancy. They're like 22 bucks at Napa or something like that. I think they're probably cheaper online, I'm sure. But anyway, 2 of them. So I think I said that in this part we were going to discuss salt. Now I can easily refer you guys back to my video that where I said, I think I titled it Salt for a Solo Guy and like how I do it or whatever. I had to, as some of you know, I had to turn the comments off in that video because of a bunch of arrogant people that told me that I was dumb, I was ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the fact of the matter is, like I've mentioned in so many videos and in the last part, what works for one person isn't always going to work for the next person, okay? So, see how good I am to my wife? She sure the hell ain't with me for my looks, I'll tell you that. And she's a doctor of physical therapy, so she makes a lot more money than I do. But anyway, so she ain't with me for the money, is where I was going with that. Anyway, so the fact of the matter is what works for one person ain't going to work for the next. Pricing in one area is completely different than pricing from other areas. Looking for like bag salt in my area, it can go from 300 to 400, 450 bucks a pallet. A pallet comes 49 bags to a pallet, and some of them only sell in 40-pound bags, and some are in 50-pound bags, but you get 49 bags to a pallet. It's just the way they're stacked. That's why it's not even 50, in case you were wondering. So it depends on how you can get it. And the other thing is, I have to have it shipped in, and I have to unload it when a truck gets here. They will not bring it to my house unless I have a piece of equipment to pick it up and unload it. Okay? They are not going to sit there and wait for me and a brigade of my buddies or me just by myself and unload each bag. They won't do it. So you have to verify that you have a piece of equipment to unload this, okay? Which I don't have. The closest place to get bulk salt, to get bag salt by the pallet, things like that, anywhere near me is like an hour and a half away. There is no immediate places near me, okay? So a buddy of mine has a big building that he has built with a concrete floor, and he orders in bulk salt. I think he gets 25 to 30 ton at a shot. And so I just have him order an extra one or an extra 2 at a time, and I pay him for it. I go there, he takes his Bobcat, he scoops up a ton, dumps it in my dump truck, I bring it home, I shovel it in a bucket. It doesn't take that long to do. I am not lazy. I actually enjoy the workout. I like to do it. And it's no big deal. And I keep it stacked up in buckets right in my garage. Each time I go out plowing, I load up the hopper, throw a few extra buckets in the bed of the truck. I don't need to take that much with me. Because I only have one lot now that I salt, and a couple driveways that I hit. That's it. I don't do a lot of salting, so it works for me. It works perfect, and I pay $80 a ton through head. 80 bucks, okay? Nice and simple, and like I said, I'm not lazy. I shovel it in the buckets, no problem. I enjoy doing it. It's fine. It works. Every once in a while I do have to buy some bag stuff where I can go like Sam's Club and it's like $8, $9 a bag for 40-pound bags, and I can get the magic melt, which is like calcium chloride. It works. Salt needs moisture to be activated. If there's no moisture in the air, your salt's not going to activate. If it gets too cold, the salt doesn't work. So you need a salt that's treated with like some type of brine. They use prune juice. There's a few different things that they use in them, or they use certain chemicals, and it changes the color of the rock salt. It makes it work without moisture in the air. It makes it work in those colder temperatures. I can't even get that. Now, my buddy, the place that he gets it trucked in from, which like I said is like an hour and a half away or something, he can order the treated salt, but he doesn't get it that often. So I'll go to Sam's Club and I'll pay like almost $10 a bag for this stuff, and I'll get like 20, 25 bags, or they'll have a couple pails there, but they won't let me buy a whole pail that I've tried. So I'll go there and I'll buy like 15, 20 bags at a shot, which you do the math, and almost 10 bucks a bag, that's 100, 150 bucks. So I go there to get that when it gets super cold to get me through the cold times, and I'll actually mix that. I'll pour in a bucket of rock salt, a bag of that, a bucket of rock salt, a bag of that, and then when I kick that vibrator on for my salter, and that agitator inside is going around, it mixes it, because you got the calcium chloride coming in this side and the rock salt coming in this side, and it mixes it, kind of blends it like a blender and drops it out through the bottom, hits the spinner, and it goes. Okay, so the calcium chloride will start the melting process, and once it does, the rock salt, you plow overnight and the next morning the sun comes out, the sun will help activate that salt. So as the calcium chloride is starting the melting process, by the time the sun comes out, the rock salt lava is still laying there, finishes off the job. I've never not melted a lot. It's just the way I do it. So it turns out actually where yesterday there's a local factory closing, and a guy that goes to my church is a supervisor there, and he asked me, he says, "You interested in some calcium chloride? Because we have buildings that are coming down, factory buildings that are coming down. We got a lot of stuff laying around we need to get rid of. You can have it, you just got to come and get it." So I went up there, and he had 3 pallets, 50 bags per pallet, 50 pounds per bag, 3 pallets sitting there. Gave it to me for free. I have a whole ton of calcium chloride right now. Big bags of calcium chloride. So I'm set on that for quite a while to come. Plus he has 8 tons of what's called super sacks. They're these big, huge bags with these straps up top, so you can hook into it with forks and pick them up. And each one has a ton, 2,000 pounds of calcium chloride in them. He has 8 of those sitting there, which I gave to my buddy that I get the bulk salt from. He just has to go get it. He was supposed to go get it yesterday. He couldn't. We got a bunch of freak snow that we weren't expecting, and he was out plowing. So he couldn't go get it, but we're trying to set up so he can go get that now. It's a lot more expensive than rock salt. An 8-ton will last him a long time. His commercial his commercial accounts, he has to do sidewalks. You can't use rock salt in concrete sidewalks. It will destroy the concrete. You can use the calcium chloride. So he'll have it for quite a while to come for that. And the way I'm kind of thinking is next time I tell him I need a ton of bulk rock salt, and if he tells me I owe him 80 bucks, we're going to have a problem, because I'm giving him 8 ton of calcium chloride for free. So, but I'm sure I have nothing to worry about. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, when you're running tailgate salters, you can run regular bag stuff through there all the time. This is what they're made for, and it'll spit it out. If you want to run bulk salt, you need to put a vibrator on the back, right where it comes down to a point, right in the mouth on the back where it channels down. That's where you need that vibrator. So you're constantly shaking it so it'll allow it through. Otherwise, bulk rock salt will bind up in there. It'll stop coming out. You'll get a little bit, it'll spit out, and it'll just stop. It'll lock up right in there. So it's no good to you. It's no good to even use bulk rock salt unless you have the vibrator kit on there. I showed it in mine. It's wired right up to a toggle. It's on my dash. I hit the toggle. It starts vibrating itself, breaks all up, and I kick the spinner on. Out it goes. It's a lot cheaper. The way I do it with salt, usually there's a little bit of variation depending on the account. The way I do it with salt is whatever I charge you to plow, I double that for salting. So if you're paying me $30 to plow your driveway. If you want it salted too, it's 60 bucks. So 60 total, 30 for plowing, 30 for salting, it's 60 bucks. If you're paying me, you know, 70, 80, we'll say you're paying me 80 bucks a shot to plow your parking lot, it's 160 to plow it and then drop salt afterwards. I just double it. That's how I do it. Some people do it different. That's how I do it. Another thing about salting, a lot of guys do what's called blast. On the salter control, and go back and look at my 2017 video setup for snow plowing and salting, I show the controller for my Snow EX salter. There's the power button, there's a blast button, and then there's a dial. You can set it, I usually run it right about 35, sometimes 40, depending on what I'm putting down in the temperature, moisture in the air, things like that. But what I do is that blast, as soon as you hit that blast, it takes all the way to 99. So that spinner's going round and round on that salter. When you hit blast, it goes to full speed, as fast as it can go. So it's dumping a lot more out. After I salt the whole lot, I go to the entrances and I blast the entrances. It leaves a bunch of extra right there. So as cars come into the parking lot, their wet tires will pick up that extra salt and they drag it into the parking spaces with them, or they drag it through the lot of them. So those tires work it through and start spreading that salt out even more. So they're essentially helping me spread that salt out. So after I salt the whole lot, I leave. The business opens up, they start getting traffic in there. Now they're continuing to take more salt in there with them. That's what I do. I drop the most minimal amount of salt that I can. A lot of people have fought me on this. They say, salt is cheap, just dump it, blah, blah, blah. You have no clue. How much I get into my buckets, okay, based on what I pay for a ton of it, I'm roughly $1.60 to $1.90 per bucket, okay? If, you know, I know exactly how many buckets per place that I salt I'm going to use. So when I dump it in there, I know how much it just cost me to salt that lot, to salt that driveway, because I know how much I use, and my salters calibrate. I know how much is coming out of it, and I know what each bucket costs me. Therefore, I know how much money I'm making, how much I'm spending. A lot of guys will just go and they'll go into a parking lot and they'll just hit blast and they'll drive across the lot. You're leaving all that extra salt. You are just dumping money out all over the ground out there. It melts off what's there, and then later that day you get another snowfall and all that excess salt there, that's gone too. So now you don't go back and you don't go back and salt it again, so you're losing money for that. You don't get to plow the lot, so you're losing money for that. If I'm salting and it's an inch of snow, I'm scraping that lot. Excuse me, I scrape that lot first. I scrape it no matter what. I'm not dumping salt to melt an inch of snow. That is stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, because you're throwing money away. If you already have to be there, why not make the most money you can make? If you had to get up at 2:30 in the morning and go out plowing and salting, why not? If I'm getting up in the middle of the night, I want the most money I'm going to get. Otherwise, what the hell am I getting out of bed for? I'll stay cuddled up next to my warm wife. You crazy? Make the most amount of money you can. If there's an inch of snow in that parking lot and it's a zero tolerance lot, which means they want it gone, they want it plowed, salted, whatever, no matter how much snow falls. I'm going to plow that, or I'm going to salt that lot, and there's an inch there, and let's say that I get 60 bucks to plow it and 60 bucks to salt it. Well, I can go dump a ton of salt there, more than what I would normally dump, so now it's costing me more money to salt. Not much, but that adds up over a winter, okay? So it's costing me more money in product, but I'm only making 60 bucks. I go there and I scrape that lot down, that's 60 bucks. I dump salt afterwards, that's another 60. So now I just made $120, okay? And it takes minutes to salt a lot. It's the quickest, easiest thing you can do there. So I made $120 versus $60. And I used half the amount of material because I don't need as much salt, because it's going to melt that lot, because now it's just a glaze across the lot versus an inch of snow. It's common sense, but so many guys have fought with me over and over, and they said, just dump it, you know, why plow it? You're beating on that truck. Well, what the hell did you put a plow on it for anyway if you're so worried about it? You know what I mean? That's what the truck is for. That's what you bought it for. That's what you put the blade on it for. That's what it's for. You're not beating it if you're not pounding on it. You know, is a truck being abused when you put a plow? Absolutely. Even if you're easy on the truck, it's still taking some form of abuse because you're working the truck. But how much abuse it takes depends on you and solely you. If you're operating that truck, that abuse depends on you. So that's my bid with salt. That's how I do it. I don't get into the mass amounts of salt. I don't order it 25 ton at a time. I don't have the big hopper salter in the bed of the truck. You know, I'm not on the huge scale. I don't do big commercial, but I make a lot of money with salting, and this is the easiest way for me to do it. So it allows me to do it as a solo guy, a small operation, and I can still use bulk and spend the least amount of money but make the most amount of money. So that's my bid on salting. I'm going to end this one here. I rambled on long enough on this one, so that's my bid on salting. And I think the next one we're going to talk about accounts. We're going to talk about insurance, we're going to talk about accounts and the types of accounts and how I price them out.